Hyper Bussy Brigade is coming on our left flank. Hey kids, we're back. It appears that the dead gay site 4chan has finally lost a battle, but has it lost the war? Or perhaps the war was the gay interracial porn we posted together?
Kiss me on my hot mouth.
All along. Probably not. Let's drop it. By now, if you've clicked on this video, you've probably already heard that 4chans.com has been hacked. The internet's greatest, most notorious hacker.
Load up Celery Man, please.
Working.
Has been taken down himself, and it's so over. And although I may personally feel that some of this coverage is a bit over-exaggerated or hyperbolic, my main issue with the current coverage and popular perception is actually that it is all missing a large chunk of retard history, which is literally the best part. How could one possibly discuss this conflict without paying respects to the many fallen soldiers of the Soyville War, or Soyville War II, or even Soyville War V, a hypothetical future conflict? I personally believe that understanding the cultural significance and history which would cause such a raid, and I, George Droid as my witness, will do right by the indigenous retards of the internet. As many of you are probably aware, 4chan for decades now has been the epicenter of internet culture and specifically memes, which has been fostered and allowed to proliferate over the years, mainly fed by the rage of anonymous posters. However, none of this would be possible without succinct and appropriate moderation to keep things on task. This crowdsourced, controlled chaos has allowed for the creation of an image macro for every appropriate situation. The layman simply cannot understand how easily a conversation about European politics can quickly be derailed by a big titty Asian girl. But seriously, I need the source for academic reasons. At the Academy of Jorkin' My Peanuts. Remember folks, this is the F1 thread, so keep things on topic. This girl has a car behind her, therefore it is allowed. Among many other things, it is also the duty/responsibility of the moderation team to maintain a positive culture site-wide. Hey, you there? Are you doing racism outside of the racism-approved boards? Naturally, this kind of unstable homeostasis leads to a kind of tension between the moderation team and the droves of anons, albeit a mostly one-sided endeavor, as one has the ability to ban and silence the other. And although 4chan's greater cultural relevance could never be disputed, peaking in 2016 of course, even back then, cracks were beginning to form, very visible to active users of the site. How many good threads had to die so that you could post this picture of a penis? If the situation doesn't improve, we might all be trapped on Reddit discussing which pen is best for sticking up your urethra. The Huion battery-free PW100. Excellent performance for the low price of $21.99. Anyway, all of this consternation came to a head in November 2021. The ground zero was the question and answers board, an entire board dedicated to communication and discussions of the general meta of the website, which, as I have been alluding to, has been consumed by penises and transgender pornography. Interestingly enough, all of this took place before Dr. Soyberg discovered BBC in 2022. However, every story has multiple sides and facets, and while one group had been growing ever fed up with the homo spam, all the way over on the international board, another kind of spam was taking hold. While those of the Jewish faith see it as a responsibility to take a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, and the Muslims make their pilgrimage to Mecca, clinically diagnosed dipshits must take their holy pilgrimage to this thread. You see, while the ever-popular poll board is a haven of international political discussion and racism, the international board itself is a haven of your garden variety sport racism. not to be confused with sports racism, of course. Sports racism, not to be confused with the sport of racism, where we get to have spirited debates on whether or not the FIA is correct in deeming the word Mongol a slur.
What the fuck is wrong with him? Jesus Christ. What a retard. Yeah, I've damage. What a Mongol, I swear.
If an entire country is not calling you out for your racist remarks, you're not going fast enough. Anyway, the lack of political discussion on the international board leads a gaping hole for the various countrymen of the world to complain about each other and their smells, such as this Korean anon decrying the absolute state of Japan as these three gentlemen enjoy their bing bing wahoo, as others posted mocking pictures of soy millennials with their new toy. The eternal Swede took swift inspiration, quickly drawing his Huion battery-free PW100 from his penis. Available at the incredible price of $21.99, he opened Microsoft Paint and became a legend, gracing the internet with the very first soyjak. In the thread, an underappreciated post only replied to at the time once by a pissed off British man who asked him if he wanted his dick sucked for drawing a picture on the internet. As you can see, since then, hundreds, literally hundreds, have come to pay homage to the OG, an autistic tradition which still stands to this very day. And much like any other popular post on this website, it became ubiquitous on the internet as a whole, much like Pepe and Apu. However, I would argue, personally, that soyjaks have much more utility in many more situations, as mocking people you disagree with on the internet is a much more effective source of rage. And believe it or not, that is where this story ended for most people. A new knife in their knife box. Jesus. A new weapon of mass destruction for their own personal Iraq wars. But what of those who have to deal with the new deluge of gimmick posting? On the international board, and to be fair, the rest of the entire website, the new flavor of the month post format got old very quickly. This only encourages the spammers. Remember folks, the more annoyed you seem, the more they know it's working. Anyway, this complete flooding of the soy variety sent the Jannies on a mass deletion spree, leaving these boys needing a new home. And the questions and answers board, long abandoned by moderators and administrators of the website, was the perfect breeding ground, as the board was quickly entirely consumed by soyjak threads with almost no purpose. To be fair, the nuclear option was swiftly enacted. And so, in early November 2021, the entire board was cleared and locked permanently. This would cause a mass exodus of users to go over to the Sharty, formerly known as soyjak.party. It was a new anonymous image board created just a year previously during the relentless spamming of QA in order to be a more welcoming home of creating of soyjaks and being autistic. If you're an avid internet user, you are probably familiar with the many exploits of the Sharty, which we may in fact cover in depth in the future. However, for now, it is only important to know that there is now a gathering of many a scorned refugee who hold a grudge. This finally brings us to April of this year, where a user of the Sharty, taking advantage of various exploits, most notably 4chan's decrepit software, gained full and complete access to everything. 4chan's very source code, Janny's specific emails and other personal information, the private /J Janny board, and even a list of which Jannies were assigned to which boards. But most importantly, he reopened questions and answers. The damage from such an all-encompassing penetration of the website is hard to overstate. To be fair, 4chan is in fact still down to this very day, and the owner and operator of KiwiFarms, Null, suspects it will be down for quite some time. However, Null is offering the new refugees a home on the farms, as long as you comply with his main rule: no lolicons. Meanwhile, new messages leaked from the Janny Discord server seems to imply that they believe that absence will make the heart grow fonder, and when the website is back up, people will be happy and loving and just grateful that their diligent Jannies are back to welcome them with open arms. Personally, I severely doubt this will be the case.
What a retard.
Anyway, the Sharty won. Like, subscribe, and of course, bye. Oh, and a warm thank you to users of the KiwiFarms and the Soyjak wiki for archiving all of this nonsense.